Hi, everyone. So we are now in my bedroom and we're recording on a different day because there was a snafu with the audio on the other recording that we previously shot. So I just wanted to show you. So this is the body voltage meter. It comes in this really shiny special package. And then when you open it up, this is what it looks like. And then you open it up. And inside you find, if you order the grounding cable, the extra grounding cable, this is it with an alligator clip. And then this is what you use to test your outlet to make sure that it's grounded before you plug anything in. And this is the pen that comes with it that measures the different, so the electricity is definitely on in my bedroom right now. And it's picking up my bedside lamp right now. So this is a pen that will help you figure out where the hot spots in your house are. And then this is the body voltage meter. And here is the grounding cord for it. So my fiance, Andrew, is being my assistant right now. So he's gonna plug this. We've already tested the outlet. So he's gonna plug this into the ground. And then we're going to find out how much electricity is affecting me. So in case it wasn't clear before, the difference between other EMF meters like this one and this one is that this one actually tests the electricity that is running through your body, that your body is receiving. So you're going to turn it on and there's this little V. So then you hit this red button. And then I put my hand on this metal rod down here. And this is how we know how much electricity I'm receiving laying on my bed or sitting on my bed. So right now it's 1.60 is the reading that I'm getting, 1.60. So that's with the electricity on in the walls and the very few electronics like my lamp that I have on in my bedroom right now. So Andrew, will you please go run and shut the breaker off?
While Andrew does that, let me jump in there. The 1.6 on the body voltage meter means 1600 millivolts. And the Building Biology Institute recommends during the night while we're sleeping, a body voltage reading of below 100. So you are over 16 times higher than the recommended amount for a sleep situation. So I see the lights go out. What have you got now?
Yeah, so the lights went out and now it's 0.086.
0.086, which means you dropped from 1600 millivolts down to 86 millivolts. So you're below 100. So that's perfect.
Yeah, that's where we want to be. That's good stuff. That's within a good sleeping range. It jumped up to 0.118. I'm not sure why. But it's slightly higher now. But still much lower.
Yeah, it's interesting how it can change. And even just moving just a tiny little bit, did it jump up when Andrew came back in the room?
Oh, well, yeah, yes, but now he stepped away and now it's, will you go down the hall, honey? Yeah, it's dropping now. Slightly.
So because Andrew is closer to a source of EMF than you are, and it's radiating out and your body's picking it up. So when you've got two people laying in a bed, the two of you together are going to attract more EMF than one person together. So this is even more important to mitigate a bedroom for couples.
Wow, that's amazing. And I wonder if we switched off did you just do it? Okay, so he just switched off the Wi-Fi to the bedroom next door as well. And now it's down to 0.94.
Okay.
what did I say? The electricity, not the Wi-Fi, the electricity. So now it's down to like just around 0.1 with
Okay.
the electricity to the next door bedroom also off.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird sometimes when you turn something on, it can actually go down a little bit, and when you turn something off, it can actually go up. And that's because of just the way the wires are running through the walls and how different wires will pick up fields from other wires. And one circuit can be on one side of the panel because the electricity we have here in the United States, you've got two poles coming in, two 120 poles. So when you've got an electric dryer or an oven, they tie those two together to give you 240. And sometimes when you turn off a circuit on one pole, it can be affected and balanced out and neutralized by turning off a circuit on the other pole. So sometimes you have to play around with it. And sometimes a circuit that has absolutely nothing to do with your bedroom can affect the reading. So it's just something you play around with. But to go from 1600, turning off that one bedroom circuit down to below 100 is good. And you could play around with it a little bit. Maybe if you turned off 2 or 3 other circuits, you could get it down even lower. I mean, to 50 or 30. So again, it's just something, now that you've got the meter, you can measure, you can try different things and make an informed decision, which is what this is all about, empowering people to be in control of their environment and creating the best sleep situation for them.
Yes, you know, it's really easy to determine what is going on in your bedroom. And I actually loaned this to a friend of mine over the weekend and let her borrow it and test her house. And she found that one of the walls in her bathroom that adjoins her bedroom is reading at 8,000. So it's good to know that, because now she can do something about it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty high reading. Now, what you also have to remember is that if you have a big mirror in your bathroom, a lot of mirrors are made of silver, and so silver conducts electricity. So if the edge of the mirror is close to a circuit, then the whole mirror can pick up that field. So when you turn off that circuit, that whole wall all of a sudden doesn't have EMF in it, electric field, and that could make a big difference. Now, you know, are we really concerned about the bathroom unless somebody spends hours in the bathroom, which I know some people do? But if you're only in there for a few minutes, you know, it's probably not going to a great expense to mitigate that. Now, your bedroom, number one, your home office, which I think we're going to look at here shortly, where you're sitting at home 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That's the number 2 situation. And then the number 3 situation is what I call the happy chair, where you sit and watch movies and eat pizza and what have you. So that would be the 3rd place. So, you know, if you've got a room that's got high EMF, like a bathroom or a washroom, but you're only in there for 5 or 10 minutes, I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. Take care of the other areas first. They're definitely the priority.
Yay. Okay. Well, let's go into my office and check out what is going on in there. I'll see you guys in just a sec. Okay, here we are in my office. And so again, if you need to, you would plug this into your outlet before plugging in the ground of the body voltage meter. So you plug this in, and then these 2 lights on the right should light up and nothing else should. And that lets you know that it is in fact a grounded outlet, which is really important. And this comes with the body voltage meter kit. So we did that, we tested it, and now we have the body voltage meter plugged in. And Anthony, did you say first to have, so I'm in Hawaii, so I am usually barefooted in my house. We usually leave our shoes outside and walk barefoot in the house, but that actually affects the way that the meter reads and the way that you're grounded. Do you want to explain that for a second and tell me whether I should be wearing shoes right now or no shoes?
Yes, certainly. So what happens with the body voltage meter, you've got the ground cord and the metal on the side. So the electric field, your body is acting as an antenna, and the electric field wants to follow the path of least resistance. So if you start with your feet off the ground or wearing shoes, flip-flops or something, and then you take a body voltage reading and you put your feet bare feet on the ground, you'll notice that the meter reading most likely will drop. And the reason for that is now some of the field, rather than all of it going through the meter, now some of it's going through your feet to the ground. The field hasn't changed. People think when they put their feet on a grounding pad, they've done away with the field. But all that's happened is now the field, instead of going through the meter in their hand, is going through their feet to ground. So to find the actual reading that you're sitting in, we need to get you isolated from the ground and have all of that field only going through the meter so that we can measure it.
Okay, so first we want shoes on, feet touching the ground.
Either shoes on, or just lift your feet off the ground.
Oh, okay, I can do that. Okay, so again, I'm going to turn the body voltage meter on to the little V setting, which is just one notch down. And then I'm gonna push the red button, and then that'll make the little blue light say, I don't know if you can see that, say AC. And then I just hold it so that my skin is making contact with the metal bar on the bottom. And I am getting, with my feet up in the air, I'm getting 4.318 or around that.
That's 4,300 millivolts.
Yep, that's a lot.
Now put your feet on the ground.
Okay.
And what happens to the reading?
It's about the same, actually.
Okay.
Now it's up. So now it's 5.7.
Okay. Do you have electrical cords down by your feet?
I do have electrical cords down, not right under my feet, but a little bit of ways.
So what may have happened is when you put your feet down, you got closer to one of the sources of the electric field. And so now, because your feet are on the ground, they're closer to the source of the field, the electric cord, the power strip. And so your body voltage went up.
Yep.
So we're at 4,000 millivolts, 5,000 millivolts. So for people with bare feet at home, just be aware of the fact that whether your feet are on the ground or not will affect the reading. And to get it, the most accurate reading will happen when your feet are not on the ground, so that it has to go through the meter, through your hand. So let's turn off the circuit.
Okay.
And see what happens. And did the power go out?
Yep, the power is off. So now it's 0.39.
Wow. So you went from 4,000, 5,000 millivolts down to point what?
0.40.
You went down to 400 millivolts.
Yep.
So from 4,000 down to 400 by turning off that circuit.
Yeah, that's amazing. But what do we do? Because we can't turn off the juice to our offices while we're working. So what do we do?
Well,
instead?
because of that's a very good question. Because of the wires in the walls are probably where that's all coming from, but you still need to power your computer. So what we recommend that you do, having turned off your office, is get a shielded power strip and have your computer plugged into the shielded power strip with that power cord running away from you, from where you're sitting. Not all of those, as most people do, have all of those wires plugged into a power strip down by their feet, which is as they put their feet out, as happened with you, it went from 4,000 to 5,000 because you got closer to the power strip. So that power strip that you're plugged into another part of the house, needs to be as far away from you as possible. And that way you can work in your office instead of sitting there in 4,000, 5,000 millivolts. By doing it that way, you can work in, ideally during the day, you want to be below 1,000 millivolts, as low as possible. 400 is better than 1,000, but it makes a big difference. If you're sitting in that for 6 to 8 hours, at the end of the day, you'll notice the difference. And
I was going to say, I noticed it right away. As soon as the breaker was shut off, my whole nervous system went, ah.
Sensitive people can notice it almost immediately. So, and the other thing is, if you've got a printer, just plug it in when you need it, or keep it on the other side of the room if it has to stay on all the time. getting up and going to get the pages from the printer will actually be good exercise for you, because sitting down all day is not healthy. So that'll give you a little bit of blood flow and movement by getting up to get the pages from the printer. If you have a paper shredder, keep it on the other side of the room. If a lot of people have salt lamps for negative ions, that's great, but it doesn't need to be on your desk. It doesn't need to be physically next to you. It needs to be 6 to 8 feet away. Same with any electrical appliance. If you have a fan, move it away. If you have lights, what else do people have? You know, heaters in the winter, fans in the summer, external power supply, you know, your power supply for your laptop or your iPhone. All of those things need to be physically on the other side of the room. And that will, all of those things, all those little things added up will help reduce your body voltage reading. Because after your bed, you're there for 8 hours. This is the number 2 place where you're sitting. And a higher reading is okay during the day. We're 10 times more sensitive at night. So that's the most critical time. And then, as I said, number 3, the happy chair. Maybe you're sitting there for 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, watching a movie, relaxing in the evening. Make sure the lamps are moved away. You may have to move the chair. Maybe there's a wire. You can use the E-pen. If there's a wire running underneath through the floor, you can find it and then find a place where you can put the chair, measure with the body voltage kit, and at least you're sitting there in a low field. If you have one of those adjustable chairs, you know, a lazy boy with a motor, you push the button and the feet come up and it reclines, probably you'll notice a reading of 10,000 or 20,000 millivolts sitting in one of those things. So adjust the chair and then get one of those small units that actually, you can have a remote control or, you know, clap on, clap off type of thing. So you can then disconnect that circuit while you're sitting there, relax, be comfortable. You'll notice the body voltage just by unplugging that chair drop from, I've seen 10 to 20,000 millivolts, and you'll see it drop below 1,000. Huge difference, huge difference.
That's amazing. So I have 2 questions. You talked about a shielded
Electrical cord.
Yeah, electrical outlet that you can plug things into. Where does somebody get one of those?
There are different places online, I think, sell shielded cords. But even if it wasn't a shielded cord, the fact that your computer is plugged into it and it's physically moving away from you, not all congested down by your feet, plugged into the closest outlet to you, because that's the most convenient thing, that will make a huge difference. I've been to a number of offices, somebody with a busy, crowded desk, they needed everything, but everything was plugged into an outlet right by their feet. So what I did was I unplugged everything, all the printers and the devices and the gizmos on the right. I took over to a power strip on the right hand side, you know, 6, 8 feet away. Everything on their left, I moved over on that side and plugged it into a power outlet on the left. And just by doing that, I think their body voltage went from 4,000, similar to yours, down to about 1,000, just by physically moving those cords away.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's this, we've been sold this concept of that, the idea that, you know, we need to have all these gadgets and gizmos all around us, and it's a sign of like wealth and convenience, and yet it's killing us. So simple is better. Get things as, go ahead.
Yeah, they in and of themselves are not killing you. It's their close proximity to you.
Right.
And things that don't need to be on, turn them off and unplug them. You know, there's some devices you have plugged in all the time and you use them for 2 or 3 minutes a day or every 2 or 3 days. Don't leave those things plugged in, because one thing we haven't talked about is the phantom power drain. You may have a DVD player, recorder. You're probably using it for 2 or 3 hours a day. It's plugged in for 24 hours a day. So 70% of the energy that device is consuming, 70% of it is when you're not used. Those 21, 22 hours that you're not using it, it's consuming 70% of the energy that it consumes. So by unplugging it or turning off those circuits at night, if you decide to get an EMF safe switch, so you don't have to walk outside to the breaker, turn it off, but push a button by the side of your bed. If you include the circuit for your game room, for your entertainment room, with all of those TVs, Apple TVs, you might have DVR players, all of those things. You're paying for all of that electricity. And if you just push the button and turn them off, you've disconnected the Wi-Fi, you've disconnected the Bluetooth, all of those radio frequencies, but you're going to save yourself money too. So something to be thought about.
There really needs to be a change of understanding about, no, actually, it's good to have those things. They're great tools, and we need to have them only when we need them, and to use them wisely and safely when we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good point.
So you also sent me this alligator clip for my desk, because when we were initially talking, we were talking about how I don't like sitting at my desk because I have this wonderful desk. It's a adjustable desk, so it raises and lowers so I can stand at it or sit at it. But I thought I would love it when I got it, and I have found myself habitually gravitating towards the kitchen table, which is made of wood, and sitting there on the uncomfortable kitchen table chairs instead of my beautiful office. And you explained to me that it's because the desk is metal, and because it actually has a power cord, that it's causing me to have too much EMF exposure, and that's the reason. So this is going to fix it somehow, you told me.
Yeah. So let's for people who aren't able to turn off the room, their office, and run a power cord in. So let's turn the room back on.
Okay. Can you turn the room back on, honey? Thank you.
And then we'll just confirm by getting a reading.
Okay.
And then first thing we will do once the power comes back on, get a reading, and then we will plug in the second ground cord, and then we'll attach the crocodile clip to the metal of the desk and ground the desk and see if that indeed makes a difference or not.
Okay, so feet are on the floor, power is back on, and it is 5.30, 5.2.
As you turn it to us, it goes up to 5.5. So it's 5,500 millivolts. Okay, now let's plug the grounding cord in to a ground. If you can plug it into a different ground, yep, Andrew, than the one that the body voltage meter is plugged into. We don't want to set up a ground loop, so
I've got it right here. Okay, and then
you're going to clip it to the metal of the desk somewhere underneath.
Okay.
Normally those desks have screws or something that you can click onto.
The whole desk is metal, so except for the top, which is glass.
Now let's see. All we've done now is we've grounded the desk. What does it make a difference?
2.0 now.
So it went from 5,500 down to 2,000 just by grounding the desk. We didn't ground you.
That's amazing.
So we don't get a fake reading because we've actually reduced the field.
That is amazing.
Now, because the desk is plugged in, your computer will still work if the desk isn't plugged in. So now let's leave it grounded, but unplug the desk.
Okay. Leave it grounded, but unplug the desk. Hold on one sec. Okay, so the desk is off. Now it's down to 1.4.
What was it before?
2.2.
Okay, so from 5,500 by grounding the desk, we went down to 2,200 thereabouts, and now we're down to 1,400 because we unplugged the desk, because there's wires running through the desk, and they are affecting you too. So even without turning off the room, we've gone from 5,500 down to about 1,500. And again, if you move that power strip physically further away from you, that would drop even further. So these are options people have just by being aware, by being empowered with the body voltage meter to be able to take a reading. You can make informed decisions and reduce your EMF exposure during the day considerably. just with a few, we haven't spent a dime yet. all we did was move things away from us and reduce our exposure.
Right. And so does the clip on the desk into the ground do anything if the desk is not on?
Yes, because the power strip, I was at a doctor's house just recently, and he had a similar setup to you with an adjustable desk, and it's metal, and he had a power strip, and for ergonomic reasons, he had it taped, with Velcro to the side of the desk. So all I did was undo the Velcro and move the power strip about a foot away. So now the field from the power strip wasn't going through the desk. And just by doing that, his body voltage dropped dramatically. So if you move the power strip 1 or 2 feet away, everything's still plugged into it, but you move it away from the desk, even though the desk is grounded, you might notice an even further reduction.
That's amazing. So if I'm understanding correctly, the desk acts as a conductor, just like you were saying, the silver in the mirror also acts as a conductor, right?
That's exactly what it's doing. Because it's metal, it's acting as a conductor. And I discovered this myself when I first got into this. I had a lamp by the side of my bed, which was on a metal pole, and I just unplugged it. And I thought, okay, solved the problem. And then, a number of weeks later, I decided to go ahead and buy meters and measure all this because I was getting really fascinated by the whole subject. And what I found was, because there was a power cord running from another place in the room, and it was crossing, and actually the power cord, no bare wires, just the power cord was touching the metal base of the lamp. Even though the lamp was unplugged, it was still broadcasting quite a strong signal right up next to my head all night long. So as soon as I disconnected that power cord or separated from the base of the lamp, the body voltage went down. So these are little things that, as you get used to doing this and you experiment, you'll learn all the tricks of the trade and what causes fields to be increased. But it's the same with a metal frame bed. A lot of people have metal frame beds, even though may have a foam mattress. That metal frame bed is picking up the power coming from the wall, which is why it's so important to disconnect the power from the wall, not just unplug the lamps, but the electric field is being broadcast 6 to 8 feet in the room. The metal frame bed is picking that up. It's communicating that to the springs in the mattress, and they are holding electricity, and that's affecting you all night long. If you can get like you prefer sitting at your wooden table in the kitchen, if you can get a wooden frame bed frame with a foam mattress with no metal, again, for people who are hypersensitive, they can notice a significant improvement just by doing that. Now, a new bed can be quite a big investment. So turning up the cheapest, the most efficient, most effective, safest way is to turn off the circuit with an EMF safe switch, because you don't want to be flipping the breakers for anything more than a few days to find out if this is going to work for you or not, because it can compromise integrity, as we talked about in the other video, compromise integrity and could cause a safety hazard.
Wonderful. Yes. Yeah. I have read and heard that the springs in regular mattresses, they are considered to be a carcinogen because they're affecting people's health while they're sleeping that much. So
you think what a TV antenna looks like. You're alive, your mattress is a a field of antennas. They're picking up depending upon the length of the wire, they're picking up frequencies, and you are inches from them. Yeah.
Right, especially if you live in an urban environment. I live out in the country. There's not a cell phone tower nearby. My neighbors are very far away from me, so it's less of an issue. But if you live in an urban environment where there's all sorts of electrical magnetic fields around you, not just in the wires of your house and not just in terms of what you can control, but in the ambient field surrounding your bedroom, then that you can't control, then it's definitely something to consider. And that would be where one of the canopies would come in, right? If you can get the EMF safe switch, turn off the the electricity that's running into your bedroom and then use one of those canopies to block out the rest of the.
Absolutely. People who live in apartment buildings where, you can, my son in the Seattle area, I went and stayed with him, and horrendous readings. And I said, you need to turn off your Wi-Fi at night. But there was 20 full powered Wi-Fi signals coming in. So if he turned off his, he's reduced his, by 5%. So
Right.
yeah, in an apartment, you want to look at a canopy. But the reason the canopy works and blocks the radio frequency is because it's metallic. So the same way as your desk and the bed frame being metallic is bringing the electric field, it's stopping the radio frequency, which is important, but it's increasing the electric field. So without turning off the circuits, you're actually increasing the electric field that you're exposed to. So when you turn off the circuits in the room, then there's no electric field, and the canopy can do its job protecting you from the radio frequency without increasing your exposure to the electric field. And sometimes people have neighbors, maybe the wall where your head is up is your neighbor's wall. They may have a Wi-Fi router right there. So again, putting up a shield, metal mesh, or a canopy might be what's necessary in that situation. But turning off the power to the room, number one, and then if you're still getting high readings, then we move to the next level. But let's deal with the elephant in the room first, which is electric fields coming from the wires in the walls.
That makes so much sense. Yes. I have one more question. And I know that we kind of addressed this in the other video, but I also just wanted to ask you again. So I was just talking with a friend of mine last night. She said, I was listening to some podcast. They were talking about grounding. I live in Seattle. I went outside. I walked on the ground in the morning. My feet were freezing. It was not fun for me. I went and bought the grounding pad that goes into the bed at night. And I said, oh boy, I hope it works for you, but you need to know that if you're not turning off the electricity in your walls, it might not be as effective as you are hoping for. And she said, yeah, well, on the promotional page, there was a woman who, said that she tried it and she didn't really notice it anything different the first night, but after using it consecutively for a week or so, she really noticed a big difference in her sleep. And I guess I'm just asking you, why is it that even though from a scientific perspective, grounding pads in an unmitigated environment where you're not dealing with the electricity in the wall is not effective and can actually be counterproductive because it turns you into an antenna, why are people saying that they feel better when they use them?
Well, because every situation is different. I was expecting, when you put your feet on the ground, I was expecting the body voltage reading in the meter to go down because some of the field would have been going down through your feet. But in your particular situation, your feet got closer to one of the main sources of EMF. But anybody with a body voltage reading, I mean, sitting here in my chair, if my feet are on the ground, I get a lower reading in the meter. And when I take my feet off the ground, the meter goes up because some of the field isn't going down through my feet. So what happens if you leave the field on by not turning off the circuit breakers to that room? The body voltage will go down when you put your feet on the pad. The meter will go down, but the field hasn't gone down. All that's happening is instead of going through your hand, it's following the path of least resistance through your feet, and you just made yourself part of the circuit. So in some situations, grounding can really help people. But I've spoken to a lot of people and they're so confused because they read about grounding, they tried it, and they got worse. And I explained to them it's because you made yourself part of the circuit. Turn off the circuit breakers and see if that helps. But then if you don't have an electric field, you don't need to ground. Now, I am very, very much in favor of grounding, but if you can go outside, walk on the beach, it's difficult when there's snow on the ground outside to ground outside. But, you can actually, as long as you found a place in your home with little to no electric fields, turning off a circuit, even if you do plug a grounding pad in that you sit for a few minutes every day, morning and evening, and put your feet on the grounding pad, preferably not plugged into the ground in the wall, being connected to that directly for a few minutes while we take the readings with the meters, okay. But I wouldn't want to do that for an extended period of time. Run a wire outside, get a big screwdriver, stick it in the ground, wrap the wire around it. And yeah, that can be very beneficial in the winter, because our bodies act as antennas, but they also act as capacitors. And so throughout the day, we actually are charging our bodies. And that's one reason why sometimes when you hold on to the meter, you'll get a reading. And as you sit there, it slowly drops down because your body voltage, the capacitor is dissipating through your hand. And, maybe sitting there now. So is the circuit on or off right now?
The circuit is on, and the battery in it is dead. We've been using it a lot. So I can't do another reading right now.
And it takes 2 AAA batteries. They're very, very easy. Not one of those weird, funky things that you have to, order special on Amazon. It's 2 AAA batteries, very easy to replace.
Yes.
You must have been using it a lot. I've never.
I know. I actually think that it was left on one time. So.
Well, it will after about 5 minutes, it turns itself off. So okay. You've been using it a lot, which is wonderful.
Yes. We've been having fun. Thank you so much, Anthony, for being here and helping to educate everyone about how to create an EMF mitigated sleep sanctuary. It's so important and really can be life-changing if you're struggling with your sleep. And I'm so grateful that you contacted me, and I'm so grateful to have this information and to actually be able to install a safe switch so that I no longer am possibly going to burn my house down. So I'm very excited to get that installed.
And if you watch this video, but you haven't seen the other one, because I think the other one was an hour, we're going to make this a separate video. If you haven't seen the first video, go ahead and look at it now.
Yeah, and if you don't have time for that video, just know that if you want to get an EMF safe switch, or if you want to first get the body voltage meter so that you can find out what's going on in your home, you can do that by going to, is it emfsafe.com?
liveemfsafe.com. liveemfsafe.com.
And you'll also see a coupon code right here that you can use for an additional discount. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Have a wonderful night's sleep, and we'll see you again soon.
Sleep well, everybody.